This is Off Script with Trish Glose, intimate interviews with interesting people. And in front of my microphone today is Sara Garr. Hello, Sara Garr.
Hi, how's it going?
It's going very well. Thank you for being here today. I just asked you, you're officially on the production team for Barrel 42 in Quady North. You're a winemaker, wine gal, wine person.
Yeah.
You really like wine.
Yes.
Okay. So what do you do for Barrel 42 in Quady North?
A little bit of everything. I drive forklift. I clean a lot of stuff all the time. I move a lot of heavy stuff around. I help out with some of the lab stuff. Like if I have to test alcohol on my wine. As an employee there, you get to make a ton of wine for free. So you essentially just have to buy the vessel that it goes in, whether that's a stainless steel drum or a barrel.
Okay.
And then you get to have a ton of grapes that you pay for.
This is at Barrel 42?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's a custom crush. So we have up to 15 different clients, and we work with their specifications on what they want to make, whether that's more Bordeaux or Rhone focused, or whether that's heavy on the oak or not.
Okay.
We kind of work with them.
I'm going to push this a little closer
Sure.
to you. What do you want to be when you grow up?
This.
Okay. So you're in the right path.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Because the forklift and the cleaning sounds so glamorous.
It's not. Yeah. It's not Wine Spectator magazine where you're lounging around on a barrel and tasting wine all day. It's it's very blue collar, but it's really challenging, and it gives you little rewards along the way.
Right.
So I guess that's the definition of a rewarding job.
I think a lot of people do think that winemaking is very glamorous, but it's farming essentially.
Yeah. And I'm not even on the viticulture side. Like Quady takes care of all of that. Make sure the fruit's really clean when it comes in. And then these beautiful bins come off these trucks. And it's our job not to mess it up in the winery.
Got it. Okay. Well, we'll talk about what you want to be when you grow up a little bit more. Where are you from originally? I
was born in Lompoc, California, on Vandenberg Air Force Base.
Oh.
And then we moved north steadily, and by 1994 and a half, I would say, we were in Talent, and we were renting a house on Arnaud Lane, or Arnaus, one of the two.
Whatever.
Yeah.
You can be French with it.
Yeah,
Arnaud. I like it. Okay.
And so my parents were searching for the house on Dixie Lane, where my mom is now, and so that's where I grew up. I grew up Southwest Medford, like a mile from here.
You grew up on Dixie Lane.
Dixie Lane, yeah.
I like it. So, on an Air Force base?
Just when I was super little.
Okay, so is someone in your family military?
Yeah, my dad was Air Force, and my two younger brothers are actually both Navy.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Okay, so you didn't have that moving around all over the place?
No, he got out, and he was testing to be a police officer. My dad was. In 93, 94, and he got some pretty good scores in Chico, so we almost ended up there. But he decided Southern Oregon would be better to raise kids, and so that's where we landed.
So you went to all schools here in Medford?
Griffin Creek Elementary School, McLaughlin Middle School, and Old South.
Old South, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, what was that like, just growing up here?
Awesome. It was, my parents were still together at the time, so I had a very, Leave It to Beaver scenario. Like my mom would make me after school snacks and come in and volunteer in my classroom, and my dad coached soccer, and they were very involved with my life. So
do you think that made an impact on you at all, the fact that they were around?
Yeah. I kind of feel, my brother Sam and I talked about this, I kind of feel a little privileged because of that, because I know a lot of people don't have the stable home life growing up, or they had to move around a lot, and that makes them interesting people in the long run. But I feel very fortunate that I have roots somewhere, and I'm able to kind of go back to my mom's house and call it home.
Right.
I think that's pretty lucky.
Yeah. So. And your parents divorced at some point?
Yeah. When my second year of college, it was kind of starting to unravel a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Are you the oldest?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that explains a lot.
Yeah.
Little overachiever?
No. My type A and my type B kind of fight each other. I procrastinate a lot, but then I get this little bug that I need to do all the checks on the to-do list.
Yeah.
So it's a mix.
I'm the worst procrastinator. I'm better now, but in school especially, I was awful.
Yeah.
And we talked about this. I texted you this morning and I was like, hey, I'm running late. And you wrote back, story of my life. And I was like, oh, we're going to be pals because I'm late everywhere.
I think it's okay, to be maybe a little late. Like, I don't know. It's kind of awkward when people are early to things sometimes.
I so agree. My husband he is early to everything. He says if you're on time, you're already late.
Right. He's one of those.
And I'm like, whatever. Like, I don't, whatever. But yeah, I've always been late. And the only time I think I changed it with this job, I was late somewhere, like 15 minutes late. And my interview was like, I'm not talking to you today because you wasted my time.
Yeah. Yeah, I lost a job over being late. There's been consequences for being late, but so I try to be more on time these days, but early 20s, Sarah was not on time anywhere.
And there's nothing like when those repercussions happen, it's a total butt clench moment where you're just like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, that was avoidable.
Yeah, exactly. If I would have just got my crap together a little earlier.
Yep.
Okay, anyways, we could talk about being late. One last point on being late. If you're coming over to my house for dinner, please be late.
Yeah. I'm never ready.
Yeah, never.
Nope.
No.
So, not that I cook, but
at least 15, 20 minutes, please be late.
I'll come a little late with a couple bottles of wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you. So college, my parents divorced when I was 8. Did that have any sort of impact on you, or did you know it was coming?
Well, we took a family vacation for spring break my sophomore year, and I kind of sensed that something was happening, but it's just one of those things. They kind of announced it, and my dad moved out when I was 21, so it was a little messy. But I think as an adult, watching them go through that, I learned what not to do, which is really great.
For sure.
So I think I have different views on marriage and joint bank accounts and things that are a little skewed from what they were based on my experience there. I think I had it easier because I was out of the house than my brother Sam and my brother Joey. They really got the brunt of that. So they had a very different experience growing up, the second half of it. So it was pretty interesting.
And it's so weird. I still think divorce is it can be such an ugly word still.
Yeah. I mean, if it doesn't work out, then change something,
Right. Yeah.
I
totally. Are you closer with your mom or dad or?
Definitely closer with my mom at this point. Yeah, my dad and I really, we try to keep in contact as much as possible, but it's really no more than a phone call a month at this point. He lives down in Reading now.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. So, but your mom still lives here?
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Same house.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I know.
Is it weird?
She paid it off last year. I'm really proud that we have that.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's
awesome.
Fun.
Okay, so what were you like in high school?
3.5 grade point average.
Nice.
Really, really involved with extracurriculars. Like I was in 6 ensembles at a time because I did flute, piccolo, alto sax, a little bit of guitar on like the side.
Dang.
Yeah, and I was in Key Club at one point. Like I was just really involved and wanted to be out there and doing new things. And I had a part-time job after school as well. I was a lifeguard.
Wow, and still maintained a 3.5.
Still maintained a 3.5, so I was really that ultra well-rounded person. But I was never home, and I was just running from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. at night sometimes my senior year. So it was a lot. I piled it on. Yeah.
What's Key Club again?
I don't even remember. I think it's kind of like a
businessy
fundraising sort of.
Yeah, you're right.
Maybe
Okay.
Like a leadership thing.
Okay. So you're very musical then.
I was. Yeah.
You don't play anything anymore?
No, I was very pressured by both my parents to never, no matter how broke and starving I was in college, like never sell your musical instruments.
Oh.
So I still have all of them.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah. And I fully plan on trying to work that back into my life eventually.
I'm finding a common theme with people who make wine or in the wine industry. We're total like band nerds in high school.
Kylie Evans does strike me as a trumpet player, honestly. There's something about him that brass players have that air about them.
And he was super smart and academic, and then he was also a jock. Like he played all these sports. So I find that really. I didn't ask. Was Liz in high school band? She played violin and piano.
Yeah.
Okay, we're talking about
cello,
you guys.
maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, you guys.
Strings.
You wine guys. What came after high school?
I went to U of O.
Okay.
I went in with a psychology major, and then I had this I was being a bratty teenager about it, like 8:30 a.m., 500-person class in the biggest hall at U of O campus. And I was like, this sucks. I'm changing my major, like after half of a term.
Oh.
And so I just didn't really even give it a chance. And then I switched over to political science.
Okay.
Before I was really jaded about everything.
Right.
And then before it got really dark and scary out there. And then I added a double major on. So I was political science, philosophy, and a minor in anthro at one point. Because I like to learn, but I really hate playing the grades game, you know? And so I never finished.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are the same way. You just want to go and absorb.
And
you don't
learn
want the pressure.
About yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. The pressure of like getting a grade. That's why I hated sociology, because I liked being there, but I didn't want to write any papers about it.
Right.
It was just.
It's an interesting topic.
It's fascinating.
Yeah. I actually have multiple instances where, you know, I wish I could walk around with a clipboard and ask people really intimate questions, which is kind of a version of what you're doing currently. So, yeah, like, damn, should have been a sociologist.
Exactly. I know there's something about when you get past being uncomfortable and you can just ask really intimate questions and then people are open to answering them.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And especially when they know you're going to share it with everybody. It's like your deep, dark secrets. I'm going to tell everybody.
Right. Just put it all out.
Yeah, put it all out there. Here I am. So you didn't finish, but when was that? Like, how old were you where you were like, I'm out?
I dropped out after 3 years of being at U of O, and I still lived in Eugene. So I went down for an internship from that my Aunt Cheryl offered me, and it was in a cell phone site acquisition company. So it was basically turnkey. You do from point A to point B, like all the different steps to try and get a cell phone tower put in. And in California, it's really, there's a lot of paperwork. Each county is different. And so I did that, and that was kind of my internship where I was in an office. And that's when I knew, like, it was a really good experience, but I knew that kind of work wasn't going to be for me. And that was really, really valuable to me to get that morsel.
For sure.
So after I did that, I went back up to Eugene for a year, but I wasn't actually going to school. I was just kind of hanging out. And that was kind of like, that was not responsible, Sarah. And so I get a phone call one day after I had had some health issues, because I was going out 5 nights a week for a couple years at that point.
Well, how old were you though?
23.
Yeah, I mean,
22.
Come on. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I got a phone call from my mom, and she's like, hey, I need you to come home. You know, we got to work together to pay this mortgage so I can keep the house after the divorce. I was like, perfect, no problem. I loaded my stuff up in my beautiful boat, my 1995 Lincoln Town Car, which smelled like gas. I mean, I love that car. I just posted a picture of it online not too long ago.
You still have it?
No, I sold it to this guy who loves it just as much as I did. So
awesome.
I feel okay about it. He's this big lanky dude. He's like, yeah, I need room, you know. Anyways, bought it for $1,000, sold it for $1,300.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Those cars, they are like boats on the freeway.
Float.
Yes.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, they're good cars. Good cars. Okay, so you come home. Did that phone call, you think, like, kind of save you a little bit?
Maybe a little bit. I don't know if I'm ready to admit that yet,
Okay.
but probably, yeah. Because, like, I as a teenager, I was really bratty. I was like, I'm never coming back to the Rogue Valley. I'm so, like, restless and the suburban drama of it all, you know. And then, like, all teenagers are bratty about that. And then they feel like they have to go somewhere else to start their life over. And it's like, no. Like, I always kind of knew in the back of my mind that I would come back here.
Okay.
But, yeah, so I came home, and then I had to get a full-time job, so I applied everywhere. That could have gone many different places, but I ended up at Harry & David. I ended up in shipping for Christmas. And then I worked my butt off, and they were like, okay, you can stay for a permanent position, but we're going to move you to produce. So I did produce for a little while, and then I started, like, kind of hanging out in the wine department across the way. It was very shiny, very well organized.
So pretty.
Everybody always over there kind of gets paid for their opinion, which is what I wanted to do. I'm full of them. So I just started hanging out over there, and finally I sat down with a manager, Brenda, over there. I think she still is a manager, and I was like, look, give me a chance. If I mess it up in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, give me like this probationary period. I will show you that I have something to bring to the table on this. And because I'm bored otherwise, I just moved back. I don't have a good group of friends. So I kind of sunk myself into that. So they were like, okay, we'll give you a shot. So I went over and I had a lot of uncomfortable questions at first. People were like, tell me a little bit about this Cabernet Sauvignon. And I'm like,
Were you a wine drinker at this point?
A little bit.
Okay.
I liked to get drunk, but I knew that there was a better way to do it.
That's so honest.
I wish that there was a more glamorous response to that, but
No.
that's really where it came from.
It's very honest.
Yeah, and it's anybody who knows me knows that I like to go and have a good time, and so it's kind of from that. And I would go home and I would study on Wikipedia. It was a great, but Wine Folly, Folly, great website for learning stuff. I would go through and I would take each point of concern from the day. I would write down the questions I didn't know answers to, and I would go home and research that, like varietal after varietal, just kind of self-studying to make sure that I had just a basis of what was happening. So if someone came in, one of the distributors came in and poured me a Chablis, I knew what was going on with that and what to expect.
Interesting. So
yeah.
you got bitten by the bug.
I did.
And it all started at Harry and David.
It did, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, bottle shop, retail.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I kind of have a feeling we're close to the same age, if you don't mind. Like what decade were you born in?
I was born in 1990.
Nope, not even close. not even close at all. Okay, so never mind. But in college, what was alcohol, like what did you go for in college?
I really liked to carry around a big purse with New Amsterdam gin and a couple shot glasses. Like, you have to have at least two.
Dude, that's like hardcore.
Well, because so then you have your chaser, right? So you have little cups for your chaser. And so you have like maybe Sprite and gin.
Okay.
And you walk up to a party where you know no one.
Okay.
And you walk into their kitchen and everyone's kind of looking at you like, what are you doing
and you
here?
pull a massive bottle of gin out of your
just
purse.
A fifth, not massive, not a handle. And you put it on the counter and you put two shot glasses out and you motion. You're like, who lives here? Come take a shot with me. Come on. Like
that's a good way to make friends.
Yeah, it was awesome. My cousin Quady actually taught me that. He'd roll up with a 6-pack of cheap beer. And he would just be like, hey, what's going on? What's your name? Oh, Larry. Cool. Okay. And then who do you know? Oh, I know Larry. It's just,
that's
it's easy.
Brilliant. Mm-hmm. That's really smart.
It's fun.
So my drink of choice in college was Boone's.
Mad Dog 2020.
Oh man, so gross now. Like, it's so awful.
I know. I would drink anything though. I mean, it's not just gin. I like tequila. Right now I like really good scotch and bourbon, and I'm kind of more picky with all my alcohol and all my coffee choices. And
oh, for sure. I think there's something, you hit this certain age, and I didn't really drink wine in college, but after I started getting into it, and I think everybody starts with like Riesling, it's like, ooh, I'll have a nice Riesling. And then you just gradually get, if you're into it, you just get more, I guess, adventurous when it comes to your drinking choices.
Yeah. I was walking down the aisle of a Safeway and I had just recently turned 21 and I was like, oh, that looks good. So I finally bought my first bottle and it was Honeywood's Oregon Blackberry wine. And so from there, I vowed, I was like, I'm not going to buy the same bottle of wine in the first 3 years of my wine drinking experience here. So I didn't. And I tried all the way. I went from, Moscato to Riesling to slightly sweet Gewürztraminer to all these different things, all these aromatic whites into kind of lighter reds. And Pinot Noir was a good gateway for reds. So,
It is a good gateway wine. Thank you, Pinot Noir. Also, back in the day, I don't know if you remember Druid's Fluid. Back in the day, a long time ago,
like Herb's time, like early 2000s.
Exactly. Yeah. That was my gateway red wine, and that kind of
that's what it's meant for. It's meant to be a decent table wine that you can put on the table, and it'll appeal to a multitude of different levels of wine drinking.
And it does.
Yeah, it does.
We should probably stop talking about drinking. It's almost 10 o'clock. Okay, so you are in Harry and David. You're working your butt off, which is kind of like the story of your life, it sounds like. You find something that you're interested in, and you're just like, oh, I got to know everything about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so did you just really become good at answering questions about wine?
Yeah, I think I recognized early on that when you were more confident about what you were saying, people were like, oh, okay, and then they'd actually physically take the bottle off the shelf and put it in their basket. So I was like, how do I do that? It was sort of a game. How do I figure out how to get these wines sold? Especially if people walk in and they say, I've never heard about this grape varietal. Tell me more. And then they trust you because you've had sort of not a long-term relationship with them, but sort of like you've seen them a couple times. They'll give you an empty case in their basket and they'll be like, fill it up. I didn't like A, B, and C from the last case that you tried me on. I was like, okay, well, all those were Spanish wines, so let's go Italian.
Okay.
And so it was like this it was a challenge, and I liked it.
That's trust too. When someone, and then if you give them a bad recommendation a couple of times, they're sayonara. They're done.
Yeah, a lot of them I've found that they were willing to come back and give you another shot because there's a return policy as long as the whole bottle's not gone. So that worked to my advantage. They could open it, try a glass, and then bring it back and be like, this really wasn't for me, or this was corked, or this was flawed in some way. So yeah, it was a good way to kind of build a repertoire with people.
What came after Harry and David?
I didn't necessarily split in the best way from that company. I respect them, love them. But I ended up at Bella Union in Jacksonville.
Okay.
As a busser, which did not pay my bills at 25 years old at that point. I worked there for probably 9 months.
Okay.
8 to 9 months. But I really kind of, there was me and another busser, Megan, and we were kind of both sort of the alphas of the busser crew. And so we had to figure each other out. And just the people at Bella are awesome.
Did you guys butt heads?
We butt heads at first. We didn't like each other. And she actually dated my brother Sam when they were in 7th grade, if you could even call it dating. So there was that thing.
They were going out.
They were going out there, yeah. But we just kind of had to figure each other out, and that was it. So I worked the bar a little bit, but I wasn't serving. And I would make recommendations for the servers there. They were like, somebody ordered the chicken piccata. What do you recommend? And I'd be like, that, you know. And it was an interesting little transitional job, but I don't know. Maybe I needed a breather. I don't know.
Yeah, you strike me as the type that you would be the alpha pretty much anywhere you go.
I think vice president at least, because I'm ready to step in and do that leadership position, but I also want to stand back and observe what's going on because everybody has different leadership styles, and I don't necessarily want to fight people on that. You know?
In the newsroom, at least, my title went from executive producer, which is like kind of number 2 in the newsroom. And now we've hired an executive producer, so I'm executive producer of special projects.
Nice.
So I'm kind of like number 3, and I can't help myself. Like there'll be a discussion, it has nothing to do with me, and I'm just like, here's what I think you need to do. It's obnoxious. Like I annoy myself, but I can't help it.
No, it's being assertive and again having an opinion, which I think is really important.
Yeah, I have lots of them.
Yeah, me too.
Lots of them.
I dig that.
Okay, so you're working at Bella, and was there ever a point where you're just like, I need to get my crap together and do something? Okay.
Yeah, the day I started working there. But again, like they treated me really well there. They were understanding. My first day that I started working there, I had $65 to my name. And I had it in cash in my wallet, and I had it in a locker downstairs, thinking that if no one knew it was there, then maybe they wouldn't steal it. But it got stolen on the first day.
Oh, crap.
And I was like, I don't know this crew enough to figure out who did it, but I was just like, okay. And I knew it was a good place to work when the manager was like, here's $65 of my own. I'm sorry that happened. We'll try to work on getting it back. But they were like, oh my God, I'm sorry. And so it was it was really cool. It was from the very beginning, it was a very good work environment. So I appreciate my time there, and Jacksonville's cute and quaint. And,
right.
Yeah.
So then what came after Bella?
It was kind of a smoky August. It was
smoky?
Yeah,
in Southern Oregon in August? What?
Crazy. I was just inside, and I didn't work until 4 or 5 p.m. that day, I think. And my friend Mary Playstead calls me, and she's like, hey, all the bosses are sitting down at Barrel 42. This is a rare opportunity for you to come and interview. They're looking for interns. I was like, okay, cool. So I went there, and I was like, I'm going to be honest. I sat down with Nicole Schulte, Brian Gruber, and Herb Quady. And I was like, I'm going to be honest. I just had an interview an hour ago with Chris Graves over at Namas. They're pouring concrete. It's going to be this great custom crush facility. They're looking for similar people. So why should I go with you instead? And they were like, well, we've got the reputation.
That's ballsy.
Yeah, I mean, like, why should I work there versus here? Because this is what I have to offer. I don't know anything about production side of things, but I'm willing to learn, and I have a good work ethic. And they're like, okay, well, we have a reputation, and Chris does great things over there, but come work with us. And so I was like, okay, I will. And I deliberated all night. I didn't get any sleep. And, I kind of told both of them yes at the same time.
Whoops.
And then I had to call Chris Graves in the morning and be like,
So when was this?
2014, I think, the fall of 14.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because Barrel 42 is fairly new.
It was the second year they had been there. I think they moved into the building they're in now in 13, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why did you decide to go with them instead of Namas?
I liked that they were just honest and open with me. Like, they answered my questions, and it's not like Chris didn't. I just took a leap of faith, I think.
It was like a gut decision.
It was kind of intuitive, honestly. A lot of things in my life are kind of intuitive.
Same.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. We talk a lot about that in this podcast. People, the paths that they go down, it's always a gut hit. Mm-hmm. It's just like, what is your gut telling you right now? And it's like, that's where you go. And it always ends up working out.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Even if you're kind of unsure when you're making the decisions. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think I've heard you say in the past, like, everything happens for a reason.
It does.
I disagree.
You really?
Yeah, I'm on the other camp.
Okay. Why do you say that?
Well, in my philosophy classes at U of O, I took this class called Existentialism 201. Okay. And I went out and got it tattooed on my bicep, right? And so this concept is the universe is passive, and it doesn't care, if we were going to personify it in order to explain it, it doesn't care if you exist or not. It's absurd that humans exist. It's absurd that the planet has these conditions where humans can survive. So when you take that and you say all of our lives don't have any inherent meaning, it sounds really dark. It sounds like
but
nihilism. I'm
following you. Okay.
Yeah. It goes into nihilism camp, and then from that you build it and say, okay, but because of that, I get to decide my own dogma, if you will. I get to decide my own moral parameters, and I like that rather than glomming onto something that's already out there. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of existentialism for me, but it's kind of like you really are carving your own path, and it's sort of stoicism mixed in with that.
Okay, so reason really has no place. It's just you're choosing this because you're choosing it. It's not like the universe has this plan for you.
Exactly.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kind of on the other camp. I know, it's cool.
No, and and I think I guess for me, it's always, it is a reassurance. Mm-hmm. If it's like, I choose this, it's because, well, it's meant to be. Yeah. It's for a reason. Like, you meet somebody, I think you meet someone for a reason, or you chose to have dinner at 8 instead of 9. Mm-hmm. There was a reason, because then this happened at 9 o'clock. Right. And if you were eating dinner at 9, then this wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. I'm more on the camp of, like, life is kind of chaos, and our lives affect other people's lives by the small decisions we make, like having dinner at 9, and that can create these different set of circumstances where all these other people's influence came in with the little decisions that they made. It's all very connected.
Do you think, though, that there are people who come into your life for a reason?
No, I don't think so.
I'm not going to get you on this. It's okay. We'll agree to disagree.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of relationships. Mm-hmm. So you chose to go with Barrel 42.
Yeah.
And you're still working with them.
Still working with them, yeah. This is my 4th harvest.
Well, and if anyone was at the Oregon Wine Experience, we would know it was a smart decision, because that trio is quite talented.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. I was walking up, and I took my mom because she likes to go to these events and stuff. And I was walking up. I was like, dang, I'm really nervous. I hope we get like one best in show would be super cool, because we got the 2016 MRV blend from Cliff Creek last year. Mm-hmm. And I was like, if we just get one, that'd be pretty sweet. And so we got one. I was like, okay, cool. And then they announced the second one. I was like, 2's kind of a weird number. It's either got to be 1 or 3. And then they did the third one, and I was like, I can't believe that just happened. I looked around. I was like, is this happening? Like,
it's awesome.
Do you see that?
Yeah. I think, too, the other part of it is I just like the fact that the 3 best of show wines were all from Southern Oregon.
Yeah, I know. It's like...
Feels good.
Yeah, if I want to be cocky about it, it's like Portland didn't even show up.
Yeah, be cocky. Well, and I didn't even do anything, and I'm like, yay, best of show, Southern Oregon. Like, I have nothing to do with any of those wines.
Oh, the community support matters. Like, if you guys aren't buying local wine, then we wouldn't exist. So it's all kind of interconnected. Yeah.
Okay, so you're working with them right now on the production side. You're making your own wine?
I am, yeah.
Okay. What wine are you making, if I can ask?
I just bottled 2 weeks ago, a 2016 Cabernet Sauvignon, and my LLC is named Circadian Cellars, like circadian rhythms, cycles of, both, from the feminine camp and also from the natural camp, and like how I still get back to school jitters in September, but that's because harvest is about to start. So September is a really transitional month for me. You feel different in January than you feel in July. Yeah. And so I think it's really important to tap into that and kind of show that off. And I don't know, I'm still working on the branding of that, but that's my brand.
I am the exact same way. I feel like June is such it's like you're done kind of. Like I don't buy into the January is a new year.
Yeah, I don't either.
And it's never been that way.
September is a new year.
I agree. Yeah, I've always been. There's something about August and September that there's this feeling of a beginning.
Yeah, I agree.
That's interesting. Yeah, and a lot of people are January is their beginning.
Yeah, no, not for me.
Yeah,
January is boring and gray.
And spring I start to get itchy for like summer because it's like then you feel like you're going to be done with something. I don't know. I agree. So this is what you want to do when you grow up.
Yeah. I have a 2017 wine in barrel right now. It's from the Lane Vineyard, local family, father and son operation here. They work really closely with Herb, and so we either broker their fruit or make it for their own Lane label. And so my 17 vintage is going to be 90% Merlot, 10% Cabernet Sauvignon, and it's in a Bulgarian oak barrel, which is interesting. I want to play around with that. The cost is a little lower than French oak, but I think it's fairly similar. So it'll be interesting to see. I kind of want to make a light chillable red for this year. I think that's kind of where the trend in the wine market is going, based on what I see in the natural wine world. So maybe a Primitivo, like
interesting,
a little lighter, a little fruity, kind of Bomba-esque, because like Quady North Bomba is kind of the inspiration for this next vintage. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. There's nothing worse when, especially if you're at a restaurant and you get a glass of wine and it's like hot.
Yeah. It's hot, alcoholic, it's been open for 4 days and you know it.
Barf. Yeah. It's not good. Do you want your own vineyard? Do you want your own winery, or do you just want to make wine?
Yeah, I want it all.
You want
it all? I have
a
very, like, Pisces are dreamers. I have a very specific vision of what I want. I love architecture, but I hate math. So I really want to work with an architect that kind of works. And I have folders and folders on my Instagram account that just have these beautiful, like, very small, compact houses with a lot of outdoor living space, floor-to-ceiling windows, like hanging gardens. Like, I want to get crazy with it. Like, hand-painted tiles. Like, I want the whole thing. And I want coming out to my house to be kind of an experience. And then you get to drink good wine that I made as a part of that.
I love it.
Yeah. I want to plant varietals that no one's worked with before.
I want to go.
Yeah. It's probably more like a 20-year plan, but I'm going to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is another thought. I feel like also if you put it out there and you envision it and you talk about it and you have folders on your Instagram and you save pictures with all of this vision, it's going to happen.
Yeah. And more importantly, like, if you tell people, if you really believe in yourself that you can do it, you can do it. And it's about focus. And, my brother could potentially move back and
help you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Pressure's on, buddy.
Yeah.
Pressure
Come back to Oregon, Sam. Come on.
We sometimes talk about tattoos, and I know you've said you have a couple. How many tattoos do you have?
5, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was your first one?
I have a treble clef on my foot.
Nice.
Went right off to college and got it.
That's like awesome and nerdy. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Do you have a favorite?
I think my existentialism tattoo is my favorite right now. I have a cool one that's kind of abstract on the outside of my arm, and the tattoo artist is in Inglewood, Colorado, and I visited them last time I was out there to visit my cousin in Denver. So I plan on trying to make a trip out there within the next year. Hopefully I can get that tattoo artist to work on me again.
Did you get your favorite tattoo? Did you get that after the class or during the class or?
Directly after, and I just got the word existentialism in script. And then I went back 2-3 years later to the same tattoo shop, and a different artist put the waves around it. It's kind of like stained glass waves.
Nice.
So,
awesome.
Yeah.
We're going to wrap up. I'm going to get to the final 3. But one question, well, it's not really a question. It's more of a statement. You're incredibly honest. Like, there's something about, it's very refreshing. You just sort of like lay it all out on the table, and you don't really hold anything back.
I'm an oversharer.
Overshare? Where did that come from, you think?
Oh, my mom is a classic oversharer with people she's close with, at least. I don't know. I don't.
Like, you don't care.
Yeah, well, I mean, I do care what people think because I'm not living on an island necessarily. Like, I'm human and I exist within a community, and I hope that those other community members are saying good things about me when I'm not in the room. But
Sure,
that's not how I have to do what's right for me sometimes. I don't know. I just think life's too short to not live authentically. Like, figure out who you are. That's hard enough. And then come back to that and keep that at the center.
Well, it's always changing, too. Who you are is always changing.
Absolutely, or it should be.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, what I thought about several things last year, I don't think the same about it this year.
Yeah, grow and change and kind of sit in yourself how you are today, you know.
And I think there's nothing wrong with, you know, and it's the same, you could look at that with politicians. Well, they had this opinion in, you know, the year 2000, and it's changed in 2018. Yeah. That's okay.
It is okay. There's so much criticism for changing your opinion these days, and I don't know where that comes from.
I don't either.
Yeah.
And it's okay to change your view on whatever you want to change it on.
I really don't like war. I mean, that's like a generalized statement. And I was really nervous. I really didn't want my brothers to go into the military at first. And now they're in it and they're doing really well. Like, Joey hasn't left yet technically, but he's really excited. He's shipping off to boot camp like next Tuesday or something. He's really close to going. But Sam has done really well for himself. And I think that my opinion on that has definitely changed. That's a good example of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do care what other people think of me. The idea of someone not liking me is kind of devastating. But then at the end of the day, it's that quote that, you know, everybody doesn't love peaches. Like, you can be the best peach on the planet, but there's always going to be a few people who just don't like peaches.
Right. And I'm okay at this point. As I get older, I'm okay more and more with not being everyone's cup of tea because I'm my own.
Right.
Does that make sense?
And why would you want to be?
Right. Yeah.
There's a song a song by Casey Musgraves called Cup of Tea, and that's exactly what she talks about.
Cool. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, we could just chit chat forever, I feel like. Okay, final three. Best advice you've ever been given.
I have a couple.
Okay.
My dad always said, when he was coaching my soccer teams, he always said, leave it all on the field. Like, anything you do, and we touched on this a little bit earlier, I think, just everything you do, just try your best. And then if it totally goes awry, then you can at least say that you did your best.
Nice.
My mom has always told me to take pride in my work, to not just be like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna like, whatever, like throw this project out. Like, really take time and take pride in it. And then I heard a podcast where people were they weren't interviewing Warren Buffett or Charlie Munger, but they were talking about their secrets to success. And they asked them both in an interview, and they both said focus at the same time without hesitation. So focus on whatever you want to achieve. You can do it as long as you focus and get rid of those distractions in your life. And that's been a real struggle for me. So I have to keep that in my brain always.
Yeah. Focus. And I think focus and take pride in your work really kind of go hand in hand, because it's go big or go home. Like, if you're going to do it right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. If you ever left this place, Southern Oregon, what would bring you back here? What would you miss the most?
I don't want to leave. I don't see myself leaving anytime soon.
No, we need that winery here.
Yeah. I think little things like the way that the light hits the southern hills back there. You guys have a great view of that area that I like.
My favorite.
You know, the way that the air smells in the fall, which is pretty basic of me to say.
No. Yesterday is a prime example. The weather we had yesterday.
Perfect.
Like upper 70s maybe, blue sky,
cool
sunny.
In the morning.
Oh gosh, there's nothing like it. I take my massive dog for a walk in the morning, and that's like my church.
Cane Corso, right? Yeah. That's a big dog.
He's big. He's very large. But there's just something about Southern Oregon.
Yeah,
it's the air.
The air, and also Medford City water. It's so good.
Right?
It's so good. And I notice when I'm on a well, or I'm in Ashland, there's nothing like the water here.
We just got back from Las Vegas, and the water is awful.
No.
Is awful.
Nope.
Even if it's been softened or treated, it's awful.
Yuck.
Sorry, Las Vegas, your water sucks.
Yeah.
Okay, anyways, if you were given a final meal and a final drink, what would that look like?
I would definitely go the courses route. And it doesn't really matter what's in the courses as long as the wine and the food complement each other in a perfect way.
Okay.
So I'm thinking like Italian Arnaise and fresh oysters with like the lemon drizzle
Yes.
thing and
Yeah.
like maybe some capers or something, just really clean and nice to get it going. And then just imagine the most decadent cheese plate you could possibly imagine.
Okay.
Like I want duck prosciutto, I want pate with things that I can't pronounce in it. I want mimolette, which
Yeah.
is like, it's so good. It's nice and nutty, kind of a hazelnutty vibe. I want triple cream goat brie that's washed with something like orangey, orange rind soft cheese. I want all of it and all the different wines. And then to end, it would have to be some Sauterne, but then also we had this meal, Brian, Nicole, my friend Andrea, and I had this meal at El Toro Bravo in Portland.
Oh, yeah.
Tapas, braised pork cheek, and a little bit of, just like little bites, but one after the other, black squid ink with the egg that you mix in, all the stuff. And then to end it, like really old sherry, like real old. We had a flight that was obnoxiously expensive. It was like $53 for 3 ounces.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And one was 1973, 1965, and 1953. And it's some of the oldest wine I've had, but it was sherry.
You haven't thought about this at all.
I love food. I love drink.
Same here.
Yeah. And all in moderation. That's the most important part.
Of course. But there's, that's just, if someone were to describe yourself, it would wine or drink and food is up there for me. It just makes me happy.
I don't really trust people who see food as like fuel. How do you live your life like that?
No, I agree. Or people are like, sorry, I'm a food snob. And I'm like, oh, you're my people.
Cool, yeah.
You're my people.
Perfect.
Yes.
It's okay to be snobby because I am totally self-proclaimed lush snob.
I love it. All right, Sara Garr, winemaker, just cool chick. Thanks for putting it out there.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Keep doing it. If you're listening to this podcast on iTunes and you like it, please subscribe, rate, and review. It helps other people find us. We're also on Google Play. And if you'd like to check out the video portion of this podcast, just head to ktvl.com, click on features, and then off script. Once again, Sara Garr, I like you.